in Yaakov and his brachot 54b5, and so it says Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda said, "Shloshat tzarichim shimor." 3 people need protection, and what he means is they require protection from mazika. And Rashi says they need it from the damagers, the demons. Protection means that they always must be accompanied by another person, both by day and by night, and whether they're at home or outside. Demons attack a person only when he is alone. Yeah.
Always have a demon from attacking more than one person.
That was the rule. I mean, I can't. When it comes to demonology, I cannot tell you why one is more effective than 2, or 2 is more effective than 1. It's maybe I have no idea.
Yeah, these are you. I think you remarked just a day or so ago. We're assuming that in days or earlier days than this, the people used to be able to see demons.
No, they could never see demons. What I said was they could. Some people could sense certain things, but the only way to see demons, I said animals can see. Animals can see, because they are looking out of there. We look straight. We look straight ahead. Whatever is in front of me is what I see. I ignore my peripheral vision.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the most part.
For the most part, I ignore my peripheral vision. If I see something in my peripheral vision, and then what will I do? I will turn toward it, and I no longer will see it. And as a result, I assumed that what I saw out of the corner of my eye was an imagination, or I mistook it, because my mind says it's not there, right? Because I look, it's not there.
It moved out of the way. It's not. You don't see anymore.
Well, it never moved out of the way. What happens is the peripheral vision sees more than we realize.
Yeah, it sees what you're not really looking at.
Right. So it sees something here which I'm not focusing on. So I can see a lot of stuff from peripheral vision. What's it called? The cones or the rods? I forget which part of the eye it is that was working at that. But the point is I can see that. If I look directly at a star, I won't see the star. If I look to the side of the star, I can suddenly see the star. So it's an amazing thing of what the eye can do. So the animals constantly use their peripheral vision. As a result, they can sense things that like Bilam's donkey. Good morning. Bilam's donkey sensed the malach with the sword.
Yeah.
He sensed there was danger, so he went one way or the other. He didn't see it. He didn't see it per se, because Bilam wasn't seeing it. So that's Nachmanides. Nachmanides says, you're trying to tell me that the donkey saw more than the human, so on and so forth. The answer is, yes, in reality, the animal does, because the animal is seeing out of the peripheral vision and using that and sensing. We don't. We normally don't.
Yeah.
Now, if I can unfocus, then I can see a lot of things in front of me. And the best way to do that is they have these 3D puzzles, 3D things. If you hold 6 inches from your eyes and you unfocus, suddenly a whole picture comes out. You've guys seen that?
Yeah, you look beyond.
Yeah, you have to try. You have to try it. They have these books. I think they're called 3D books or something. That you don't need your glasses. What you do is you put it in front of your eyes and unfocus, and then what happens is the whole thing comes out, and you can see everything. It's beautiful.
You know, in recent years, I want to say decades, in our own modern times, movies. So there's been a lot of stories and movies made about animals that will sense things and see things that people, even to this very day, they do.
Well, they do. They actually do see those things. So, like I said, it could be that the people could see them if they don't focus on them, but the Gemara says that if we would see all of the demons and all these spiritual beings in front of us, we would go absolutely nuts, because it's just millions of them.
It's too much to absorb.
Right.
In other words.
And it would be like if you see, it's like the germaphobes. If they could actually see the germs around them, they would move.
Yeah.
You know, it's
It's-
some. I don't understand how germaphobes can have pets though, especially dogs who lick them. I don't get that.
Do actual really germaphobes actually want to have pets?
I think some of them do. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how they do it, but okay. That's I can't tell you. But it's okay. That's number one. So they shouldn't go out by themselves. Like I said, to answer your question, I don't know why it's how the demon world works and why it can't attack 2 versus 3. I don't know. So it says the Yaakov says. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't get there yet. Okay.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
Like during the bedtime Shema, I think the psalm, I think at the very, very end, near the end of it, it was talking about King Shlomo sat in his bed with
Behold the bed of Shlomo, 60 groups of mighty men surrounded it, from mighty Israel, all on the sword, trim, bow, and for sword, raised side at the nights.
You have to say it
Sorry,
louder and slow. What?
Sorry.
Behold the bed of Shlomo, 60 groups of mighty men surrounded for the mighty of Israel, all are on the sword, trained in battle, each with his sword ready at his side, out of fear of the knights.
Okay.
That was swords of fear of the night.
Fair enough, demons.
So why would we need 61 instead of just
60 what?
60 men.
Instead
Or
of
60
just one
groups of 60 men.
Instead of just
Instead of
one.
just one other guy in the room because we can attack too.
I'm not sure. Again, I don't understand all of demonology. I actually any of demonology. We don't deal with it today, so you know.
And these things be clashing. Also, of course, a king is different from any other these people.
You could argue when it comes to these things. You can argue anything. Like I said, it's maybe somebody speaks about it. I never. When it comes to these esoteric issues, most people don't know because we don't have it today.
It's esoteric, that's what it means.
Sorry?
It's esoteric, that's what it means. Outside of
Right.
normal use.
Right, we're not. So the okay, let's go. Let's go into this. So it says, who are these people who need this? Oh, I'm sorry. 45. So he says the 3 people that need it. All right. Like I said, there are a sick person, a chatan. Did I miss something here? No. Okay. 3 people need a type of protection. Okay. A sick person, a chatan, a bridegroom, and a kala, a bride. And all these people, why? It says the sick person, since his fortune has taken a turn for the worse, he is more susceptible to being harmed by demons. For this reason, a woman who has recently given birth on account of her weakness and a person who has recently suffered a bereavement also require protection. And he says demons are liable to attack those of whom they are jealous. For the same reason, a Torah scholar also requires protection.
Why would a demon be jealous of like a sick person? Or
No, of a kala and a chatan and kala.
Oh, that's the next one.
Right.
Okay.
So Ravina Yonah explains that at times of danger or joy, a person's deeds are scrutinized to determine whether he or she is worthy of divine providence. And on such occasions, he is more likely than usual to be punished. So you have to watch out. Okay. And then it says, Vatinta Tana. Let's just go through this a little. Braita taught that the following people need protection. Again, Choleh, a sick person, Chaya, a woman who has recently given birth, a Chatan, a bridegroom, a Kala, a bride, Yeshomrim, Af Avil, also a mourner, Yeshomrim, Af Tamid Chachamim, Balayla, also Torah scholars at night. Okay, so you have all those people who potentially need it, and he says, just before we get anywhere else, one who must observe, although a Torah scholar is generally protected in the merit of his studies, he requires extra protection in the darkness of the night when danger abounds. In fact, no one should sleep alone at night. The brightest point is that a Torah scholar requires protection even when he is awake. So, okay, we have all these things. Let's understand something. Before we can go any further, we have a rule that you have to safeguard yourself. So what happens is if I put myself into danger, any danger, at that point, any time of the day, by the way, once I put myself into danger, my merits, I go into a court case. I go into a simple court case, and Hashem looks at my merits, and He looks at my demerits. If my demerits outweigh my merits, I'm in trouble. I put myself into danger, and now Hashem will use that to punish me. If, on the other hand, my merits outweigh my demerits, so I'll be saved. That's what's going on. But if I didn't put myself into that unnecessary situation, then I would not have gone on trial. Okay? So sometimes, now in all of these cases, when I'm a sick person, when I'm we're not talking about a bride or a bridegroom, because that's not you didn't put yourself into a dangerous situation. A woman having birth, Baruch Hashem, she's going through birth, but still in those days, and I guess even today, it's still a dangerous situation. Even if some people hold that 99, that there's what they told me. When I was discussing this with Meyer, he said to me, "These 100%." Nobody dies in childbirth, so I don't know what that means.
100%?
99%, whatever it was. But it's, and then you have Talmid Chacham. So for each reason, the people are, the Talmid Chacham, by the way, why is the Talmid Chacham a problem? Because he knows what's out there. And yet he's still doing, he's putting himself, thinking he's above the problem, because he's learning Torah. So that again puts him on the trial. You understand how that's working? Once I think I'm above it, I put myself onto trial. And now the trial differs for every single person. Because if a Talmid Chacham, so he has to worry, did I learn enough Torah? Am I doing enough work? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? He's not going to be held accountable to the same level as me, who was on a Talmid Chacham. I have simple needs. So when Hashem puts me up against, let's say, one of these Talmid Chachamim out there, the Talmid Chacham is going to be charged much more than me.
What's the essence of this little section here that he's talking about? Is it that because it seems to in general, if you go out and talk to almost anybody about unseen demons, you would laugh and scoff at you. What's the lesson here? Is this a lesson that we can take in general, that these categories in general can be susceptible because of these various things that you're just talking about now? Your frame of mind, you're not taking care. If you're already sick and you go out alone, you could be susceptible to a lot of things.
Correct. That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Well, what the lesson we can derive from this for ourselves is simply that I should never put myself into a dangerous situation, and if I'm in a joyful situation, I should understand that some people are going to be jealous of me, so I shouldn't make them more jealous. There's a couple of reasons that we break the glass under the chuppah. One is the famous reason.
Yeah.
What's the famous reason?
For the
Destruction of the temple. The second reason that some people will say is to scare away the mazikin.
Oh, I heard that.
Because we already had damage. So we had damage done.
You know what? I think this is a church thing. Maybe Bill can comment on this. In days gone by, and probably to this very day, people make a toast with a pair of goblets over some, liqueur or whatever, and they smash it against the wall. It seems like I read a long time ago that was supposed to scare the ghost away or something.
Okay, same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Right, same sort of thing. It's sorry.
The Russians toast.
It's the Russians.
Right. So anything like that would either the reason the demons would go is not that they're scared. It's that something's already happened. Notice you got punished. You lost something. The glass broke. So anything like that, you smashed the glass. Okay, so you lost some money off that. That would be enough of a tribulation. You break it. That's why when at the Kedushin part of the wedding, not the Kedushin,
Oh,
but
the plate.
the play. What would that be called? The Tanayim. The Tanayim. At the time, so the two mothers break a plate. They are both to break a plate. Okay, and so one plate survives everybody. But they do that again, the same reason. We give fancy reasons, but ultimately what you're doing is saying that should be enough of damage. We shouldn't need more damage. Again, the rabbis come up with even better explanations. Why we break a plate? Because just as this couple were two separate people now, and we've brought them together. This should be the only thing that breaks, not the engagement. Blah blah blah. It's the whole thing that goes. We go, and then everybody gets a shard of this thing, and it's supposed to be a segula, a treasury for their engagement. That would be similar to in the weddings you see on TV, the non-Jewish weddings, where they take off the garter belt from the woman and they fling it. Wait, that's the men. The garter belt is for the men, and then the flowers are for the girl, right? They flow, and somebody can say, "Yay, I'm going to get married," blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's a segula. Does it work? I have no idea.
What about when you launch a new ship, you used to take a champagne bottle?
Correct. Same sort of, all these things are the same sort of thing. Rather, it should break this than something else. And that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
It should be, Okay, so the Ibn Yaakov says, Tzarich and Shimor, Dainu Shaloi Nechenu Levado, that he shouldn't be left alone, like we said before. Okay, well, that's number one. And even the Talmud Chacham at night, he says, like it says in the Gemara Chulin, Elahatam Ayri B'derech, that's talking about when you're on the way. So, and late man the choleg to usher the Talmud Chacham, let's say Belayla, there's nobody that argues that it's forbidden for a Talmud Chacham to go out at night alone, like it says in other places. Masha Ein Kim Yeshuve, but unlike when you're sitting in an inhabited place, some people would argue there that he could be alone. But again, am I putting myself into unnecessary danger or not? So he also the eight Yosef says the Talmud Chacham at night. He says, when he's standing alone in the very darkness, the beloved Hachi Torato Mishmarto, then he shouldn't rely upon his Torah protecting him, like we say further on. And when it's so that's not the problem. If I'm going to be, again, if I'm relying upon something, that's when the demon or whatever, the bad tidings can get to you. So that's why he says these people need to have protection. Okay. Let's go on further. So he says another list was Amar Rav Yehuda, Shlosh Devarim, Hamarich Behem, 3 things prolong a person. So I'm sorry, Hamarich Behem, one who prolongs them. Marichen Yamav Shantav Shal Adam. So it prolong or lengthens his days and the years of the person. One is Hamarich B'Tfilato. Now this is a dangerous thing to say because we live in a time that people take certain things very, very seriously. And I will translate one who spends a long time in prayer. So if I spend a long time in prayer, that's going to lengthen my time on this planet. So some people read that and say, if that's the case, I have to say Shemona Esrei for a half hour. If you can really keep it up, God bless you.
Really long talking.
Right?
Really
long talking, right? Right. But what it really means is you have to have kavanah for all that time. Yeah. It's not just enough to lengthen. It doesn't mean also to spend, to go into meditative stance. So it's talking about you take your time, not you rushing through. Hamarich al shulchano, one who spends a long time at his table. Again, we're not talking about having a 3-hour marathon of eating a spaghetti meal, but it's saying you shouldn't rush.
That's a bad idea.
Sorry?
Eating a spaghetti meal for 3 hours is a bad idea. You're going to hurt yourself real bad.
Well, no, it doesn't mean eating for 3 hours. It means that when you go to certain Shabbat tables, I don't know if you've done this, but certain times, well, you would have it for Thanksgiving, or Christmas dinner. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Normally, how long does it take to eat a meal? It normally takes
20 minutes.
20 minutes, relax. I'm having my soup, I have what I'm going to have. Let's say a half hour, okay? Half hour. Suddenly, so a half hour. Shabbos meal, let's say, without any rush, 45 minutes.
You start with kiddush.
45 minutes. 45 minutes. So you give me 45 minutes? 45 minutes. Hour. Say an hour. Hour already tired.
Is fast.
What?
45 minutes is fast.
So you want an hour, but again, it's a meal. It's a meal. I'm not saying I have to talk or sing songs. An hour to 45 minutes to an hour. So then what happens? You go to some places. They invite you. Okay. So now the meal goes from what it would take it normally an hour, and it expands exponentially for the amount of people there. And you have to set aside out of your day at least 3 hours. All right? Holiday meals. At least 3 hours. During those 3 hours, very little is done by eating. Okay? Most of it's done by stalling and talking and stuffing your mouth a little bit with bread or whatever you're doing it, but for the most part, you're not eating. And what you're doing, again, is spending your time there. Well, some people, again, what Jesus Gemara said, if one spends a long time at his table, so you go from 3 hours to 5, 6, 8, 10 hours, and they're eating, and they're talking, schmoozing, and whatever they're doing, and they say, well, if I go long, then it's going to have a long life. Don't torture me, please. Okay. You learn not to coach certain people as a result of that. But it's, like I said, he says he draws out his meal. By doing so, he increases the chances that poor people will come by and be provided for. So if you're going to open your door, that's one thing. But most people don't do that. And again, there's a purpose to it. And finally, hamarich bebeit hakisei, one who spends a long time in the bathroom, is also a benefit for his health. Why? What happens? You need to go to the bathroom, so you go, and then you do your business. But mind you, we have a bathroom out here. It's very convenient, no perk deal. You're not going to an outhouse and all these things. Okay. So in those days, they had to go to the outhouse. So let's understand what it meant. It means if I'm going to go to the bathroom, I have to take a walk. Okay. So the odds I'm going to hold in my bladder, hold in whatever I have to do, and the potential is I can get sick because of all that I'm restraining. You can get hemorrhoids, whatever you get, hemorrhoids, all these things that you can get from these things. So the Gemara is giving you a good advice. It says when you get to the bathroom, take your time. Don't sit down and when you can't go, immediately get up like little kids will do. I tried. Yeah. No, you're not a little kid. Okay, relax, take a book. Okay. That's why in some bathrooms you have a whole library with magazines, all this Mishigasim. And they sit down, they're reading, they're doing puzzles. It's like, I need to use the bathroom, guys, let's go. Okay, but that's really what it is. That's this attitude of take your time. So we're seeing then 3 things that according to review should take your time. 1, like I said, prayer. 2, eating, sitting at your table and eating. You shouldn't rush through it. And then also going to the bathroom. So that's number 1. That's the basic things we're looking at. Excuse me. And then, so let's see. It says right here, where was it? We didn't get that. Okay. So I have to go a little further. Okay. So it says, but the Gemara asks, Hamarich b'tfilato m'layutuhi, but is it really preferable to spend a long time in prayer? Bahama Ravi Chia bar Ravi bar Abba Amar Rav Yochanan, that Reb Chia, the son of Abba, said the name of Rav Yochanan. Here's an important part. Kol Hamarich b'tfilato uma'ayin ba. Anybody who prolongs his prayer and contemplates it, he expects it to be fulfilled. In other words, sof bal lidei ka'ev lev, he'll eventually suffer heartache because you don't always get what you pray for. Shneim Mars is stated tochelet memushacha mechale lev. Prolonged prayer makes the heart sick. So it says, again, Rashi's telling you that you're not going to get what you always want from it. If you pray to chelet, okay. So then, what happens is like I said, you're going to pray for something. You're going to look for it to be answered. It's not going to be answered. Fine. So then it's where is it? So the Anav Yosef. It says, Kol hamarich fitfatom ayin basof bali. Whoever listens to his prayers and looks into it, sees what's going to happen, and watches for it doesn't happen, so in the end he's going to have a heartache. So it says before, in another part of the Gemara, that Baruch Me'ahai Me'emra Lachud Ha'cha Istrich Me'emra the Gimel Devar Mashkin has here three things need to be mentioned. V'aynu Me'emra Kama Lachud Yesh Lomrim after maybe L'Deika Evle. Wait, that's not what I wanted. Right. It said above. It said before. We may have learned it before. I forget. But it says that one who looks into his prayers or goes along with his prayers will not be returned empty-handed. The mashma, which implies that it was accepted, it was certainly accepted. So it says, parasha mizeh. So then, how can it be that here you're going to come to heartache? Over there it seemed to imply it would be accepted. Here you come to heartache. So it says that, so what they're going to answer ultimately is when I pray, if I don't look for it to be answered, I'm not saying, I put my prayer in, I said, God, please give me the lottery.
Yeah.
And I'm praying for it, pray for it. And I'm every Wednesday or Monday, whenever the days are for the lottery these days. So then I look and I didn't win. But I prayed so hard. Well, that's not what you should do. Then you won't be answered. On the other hand, if I put my prayer in, and then when things happen, I can say, Baruch Hashem. That's all. In other words, I'm not expecting it to happen. It happens, it happens. It doesn't, I understand that doesn't know. Period.
In other words, you do your duty, you put your sincere prayer in.
Right.
You don't spend 28 hours doing it. And you say...
No, more than that. I put my prayer in, but if it doesn't happen, I don't get upset.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You have to do what you're supposed to do. You have to make the prayers.
Right. You have to...
Thank God for unanswered
prayers.
Right.
That's what?
Thank God for unanswered prayers.
Well, it's either a yes or a no, right? I mean,
it's not a. By the way, it's not a yes or a no. It's always.
Well, there could be a timing element.
Correct.
Yeah.
In other words, I may put a prayer in that I hit the lottery, and I pray that every day. Fine, let's say I pray every single day I hit the lottery. Well, Hashem may say to me personally that the lottery wouldn't be good for you, so I won't give it to you. But there's a generation down the line that person will know what to do with the money. You don't know. You're a rabbi. You don't. What do you know what to do with the money? You're going to sit down in the basement and learn. You think, I don't have to work anymore. Leave me alone. You're not what I want. I want the guy who's going to, support people and give tzedakah and build. You don't know how to do that. Okay, that's what he'll say. So what happens is, let's say 3 generations, like 2 generations, 1 generation, my son, who knows, my daughters, doesn't matter. So they know how to run the business. They know how to do it properly. And then and I want you to know something. Think about a businessman, how much tzedakah a businessman is giving. Right? Businessman, unless you're running your own store, which then you're not a businessman, you're a nut. You're going to go nuts. But if you're a real successful businessman, you're now employing people. What's the ultimate level of tzedakah?
Setting somebody else up in business.
Right. No, to get him a job. So he makes his own money.
Well, to get him,
to get him up and running.
Get him to be able to
so to give him a job, if he can get a job, great. But if he makes his own living, tremendous. But is to get him up and going, so he's not on the dole.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate tzedakah. So the businessman has 20 workers. That means 20 people this guy is supporting. This woman is supporting. and from the business. And then on top of that, the rabbi comes to him and says, the rabbi and every other guy slept out there, says, Mr. So-and-so, we'd like to have you, we're having a capital, what do they call this one? The capital fundraising?
Yeah.
It's called capital fundraising. Okay, capital fundraising event, and we'd like to honor you, which means we want your money and we want your friends' money. That's what honoring means. Okay, I understand. I said here, right? Here's your list, and you call them and you beg for us on our behalf. That's capital. Capital. I can't remember it's a full thing here, but but that's what you're doing. So this person now becomes your fundraiser, gets his friends to put in money. They all get honored. They have a nice dinner and so on and so forth. Fine. But all that, think about how much money and what good that person is doing as compared to the guy who wouldn't know how to do that. Doesn't have the friends to do that. Doesn't have the wherewithal to do that. So it says that Hashem answers all our prayers and in the affirmative. But it may not be to us. It may be to our next generation, or the 2 generations, or 3 generations. No prayers left unanswered. That's what it says. But if I look and say, I'm praying for me, just me, me, then Hashem says, you can't get everything. Then it's when we sing that song, thank God for unanswered prayers. Yeah, what are you going to say?
That way, the Shemona Esrei is in each bracha in the plural. It's never in the singular.
Correct. Well, except for the last one.
Yeah.
The last one, guard my lips from speaking evil. The last statement that we made, right? Yeah.
I was going to say, a theme that runs all through this is, we start out with the demons. We say that people contain their own demons. You have the potential for your own ruin.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
100%.
That sometimes, just like a child, you need to have limits. And, like the Torah study here is those limits in life that put things in balance.
Right. And what we're learning is, there's a balance here. And what we're learning is we can pray for what we want, but like every person, when they want something, it doesn't mean it's going to be good for them.
Something that's a blessing is often not the amount, but the timing.
Right.
When in times of need, that things happen, and it's the same kind of situation like the bride and the bridegroom. You're at a beginning that you don't want to start this off with a curse. You're supposed to get rid of all these demons that are inside of you.
Well,
a fresh start.
You're supposed to be right. You're supposed to become one, but at the same time, you can't. It's interesting. We don't say at a wedding, Shehechianu, the bracha Shehechianu, which is the prayer that you say whenever. Let's say we have a new fruit, or something happens like that. So it's a brand new thing. If I buy a brand new suit, and it's dear to me, so I'm going to make this bracha Shehechianu, that Hashem helped me to reach this point. Okay, fine. Comes to a wedding, we don't say Shehechianu.
Right.
We don't say the bracha. Why do we say the bracha? Because we don't know what the end will be. We don't know the Shehechianu v'kima v'yigianu l'zman hazeh, that he kept us alive and established us until this time. Again, it's a good thing. We don't know if the wedding's a good thing. We have no idea how it's going to end up.
No.
It may end up in divorce.
No.
So we don't say Shehechianu there. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
So often these things that come out of the Torah, you see echoes of it coming down in psychology classes.
Oh yeah, that came down. Oh, I was like,
No, but like the concept of passages. That you go through passages, and like that breaking of the glass, another interpretation. All of that past has been shattered. You can't return.
correct.
You have a new doorway you've gone through.
Right.
And the same way with Torah study, you're continually going through new doorways.
Correct.
It's like the Talmud Devorah.
Mm-hmm.
You're ascending.
100%. What?
You're taking on new responsibilities, but you're going to be judged more seriously because you've passed through that stage.
Right. Yeah.
So, as the phrase, the first scratch is always the worst. So.
Say it again, please.
The phrase, the first scratch is always the worst.
First scratch is always the worst?
Yeah, so something clean and perfect. Clean like a new suit or a new car, and you're like, ooh, it's like, I love it so much, I don't want to ruin it. And if
Okay.
the first scratch is maybe like a little dent or a scratch, maybe like a little bit of dirt, like that's always like no, I don't like it. But it's always as long as it's really small, then that emotional attachment is already, so you're good. Even if the next one might be it's burned and singed, like completely ruined, like okay, well, now I'm not. That's just a phrase.
What does that
So
do with this?
when something gets broken, you're no longer fully what's it called, like ready for it to. You're no longer expecting it to be perfect the entire time.
Yeah. Once it gets a little bit broken, then
You're fine with
even
it.
though it's functionally
Functionally the same. You're fine with it being
trash.
as it is. So you're not always trying to protect it.
Once it even gets a little
So,
that doesn't make any sense.
what would it have to do with this? I'm not sure what the connection is.
I just heard new suit, so I thought that.
Aha. Okay. So, okay. Very good. So, okay. So the Eitz Yosef also says that one who lengthens his prayer and looks into it. It says Rashi writes that this is what I am ba the loma I am ba. Okay, fine. When he's looking at it, when you're looking at it, it's not good. Why? Because he thinks, that Hashem will fulfill his request with his kindness. And he will say in his heart, Mi ani dal v'nivzeh. Who am I? I'm a poor and despised. So I'm coming to ask for Hashem, and if not for the majority, the amount, the abundance of His kindness, that He conducts Himself with His creations. And that's why it ends that he will search in his rachamim, so his compassion. So again, if I'm thinking that it's me, that my merits will do it, the answer is no. If I'm doing it, I'm relying upon Hashem, and I recognize that really I don't deserve anything, so then what comes through is good. So that's again where I'm being marich b'tfilato. When I'm being honest with myself, because what is tefillah? Part of tefillah, part of prayer is judging myself. Am I really worthy of this? That's another thing too. I have to judge myself. I'm asking God for all these things, but what have I done to deserve it? And if I haven't done anything to deserve it, I just put my prayer in. It's basically you haven't done anything. There's been no build up. It would be comparable to going into the gym, lying down on the bench press. You never worked out in your life, and you put 500 pounds on that bench press, and you try to lift it. Lo and behold, you can't do it. And you think, but I tried, right? Doesn't work. Yet if you put on 50 pounds, then the odds are people could lift 50 pounds. And you work out, and you go day by day by day by day, and you're working out. Then you build up slow. You may never get to 500, I don't know, but certainly you get to 200. You could probably lift if you're on just a bench press and just a bench press. But it's that sort of thing where you're building up slow. And so also with prayer, it doesn't mean that the person should go into start praying and have this hour-long, He's devoted to one-on-one with God. It means it's a relationship. I have to build my relationship up. When you're going, when people are dating and they're going, I'm talking about Jewish dating. So what is Jewish dating, just for argument's sake? Jewish dating means I meet the girl. I bring her to a public place. It has to be a public place. I sit down on wherever and we have a discussion. And we talk and talk and talk. Hopefully we can talk. If we can't talk, date's over. Okay? But then you like each other. So again, there's no physical touching. There's no physicality there. There's no touching, no kissing, nothing, no holding hands. All this stuff is taboo. You cannot do it. All you do is you sit there and you're talking. So what happens is, and then you go and you go back and you talk to your families and you're getting ready. Fine, next date, again, the same thing. Next date, the same thing. Next date, the same thing. Finally, after the 10th date, you've talked for 10, 15, 20 hours, and hopefully you've talked in the telephone in between. Okay, so let's say you have 50 hours worth of talking. That's more than most married couples in their life. Okay, but at that point, assuming you haven't just talked about Trump versus Hillary and the other things out there, assuming you've talked about some tachlis, what we call purpose, kids and everything else, where you want to go with this, then you can make it a real logical decision. Okay, we obviously like how each other looks. The physical desire is there, but it was a mental desire there. And that, if you kiss or do anything else, then certain parts of our brain get turned off and the other ones get turned on. So we don't want that when you're making a life decision, which is why we don't touch. It's that simple. So you're talking, and then you can make a decision of whether I'm going to get married. That's why some people, by the way, can get married after 4 or 5 dates. I mean, the guys who get married and guys who get engaged after the first date, it's not such a great system at that point. But because they're not really, they haven't talked that long. You need to talk. You need to know who you're getting involved with. I'm also not advocating 4 dates either, but I'm saying I understand that. Because you're talking, let's say that's 4 or 5 hours you've put in, again, certain things you're going to know. And you've done there's been research done on both parts. The parents have checked into the families, hopefully, and so we know that it's not such a bad system. Okay, but that's what you're looking at. Okay, you're building a relationship up. It's not like what happens in the secular world. You go out and the first date, you have to get a kiss or something. Well, you've already messed up the system. Yeah. So now, however, and in the secular system, you can be engaged for 3 years. Think about that. Engaged for 3 years, going steady, engaged, all this mishigasim. Okay, and what happens? And then after they're engaged for 3 years, if they get married, they're divorced after 2. Because they found out, I didn't know you. What do you mean you didn't know me? You were for 3 years. I don't understand. I bet that's what happens, because they're involved in other things, not to having discussion. So when you're dealing with, how did I get into this? Relationship. Thank you. Relationship. So when you, I got lost where I was going already. So when you're dealing with relationships, it's again a very slow building process. Our children trust us when we tell them to do something. They'll do it for a couple of reasons. One, they're afraid of us. We can hurt them. Or we're going to punish them, or they actually agree with what we're saying. And if they agree with what we're saying, so it's easy. When they don't agree with what we're saying, what do they do? Argue. Sorry? Argue, right. And what do parents normally do when you try to argue? Punish. No, they don't punish right away. They usually answer. You say, well, why do I have to do this? So some parents enter into the conversation. Worst possible thing they can do. Because now the kid says, it's negotiable. Okay. Now we know it's negotiable. As compared to, I said so, that's why. No negotiation. I know already. Done. Okay?
The art of the deal.
The art of the deal, right. He wasn't the one to write that book. Every kid wrote that book. That book's been written 1,000 times. But really, that's relationship. And sometimes parents will enter into this sort of discussion, whatever, and ultimately come down with the hammer. But this is a discussion. But that's part of the relationship. And we teach you, as parents, we're teaching you through that conversation how to deal with other people. So when you're dealing with your friends, which of course you deal with on different levels, but that's all part of this. So now when I'm dealing with God, I have to have the same sort of relationship where I can express to God. Again, that's marich b'tefillah. That's where I'm going along with my tefillah, where I'm having a discussion with God. And if I understand it as a discussion with God and not just a mere repetition of words that everybody likes to do, which is why, by the way, and I say this for rural consumption here, if you don't say every word in prayer, you're still praying. You fulfilled your mission. Because what I want to do is establish it. So let's say I would say, Baruch Shamar today, hopefully everybody's going to understand this, Ashrei and Yishtabach. Fine. And I get that, and I understand what I'm saying. And when I say Potech et Yedecha, he opens his hands, and you open your hand to satisfy every living thing. Fine. So when I say that, and I actually think about it, I take the 2-3 seconds to actually think about those words, and I start building it up. And then I say, you know what, let me try another Tehillah. Let me try another part of the Psalms that we say. And I say that. Now, what if I don't say it the next day? So what? Nicht gefährlich. Not such a bad thing. What I'm doing is, again, I'm having a conversation. And so I'm trying to get different aspects of this. I don't say the same thing to my wife every single day. I don't say the same to my kids every day. Hopefully I don't say the same thing to you every single day. Some of those things is repetitive. I don't doubt into that. But hopefully there's a difference in my cadence and everything else. So in prayer, why can't it be the same way? It's supposed to be a living thing. I'm sure in your church, people just say the same words over and over and over and over again without thinking about them. That's not praying. That's just mumbling. That's just, saying what you. It's like the kids say a Pledge of Allegiance. They don't know what they want they're saying. They don't. Do we still say Pledge of Allegiance in schools? Or is that us or not? Okay, well, I think it's forbidden right now. I'm not sure. But I'm just saying, nobody thinks about these things. What they're pledging. What does allegiance mean? We just learn the words, and we learn how to say it, and we put our hands here. It's amazing what we just say without any meaning, without any feeling. I should say, without any feeling. It's just not there, and we expect something to come from that, and that's why people don't like to pray. That's why they don't like to learn. That's why they don't like to do things, because there's nothing behind it. See, it always comes to the end. You have to watch all to the end to hear these speeches, but that's really the problem. If we learn to get involved with it, and we're marich that way, we take our time that way, then it's good. And we don't expect anything in return. Because when I have a relationship, the biggest part of my relationship is I want to please the other person. I'm not looking for that person to please me. Then it's a healthy relationship. A husband should never look to the wife for her to do what he wants, and she should never look to him to do what she wants. They should look together to do what we need. It should be a unit. So the same thing with every relationship. I'm not doing it for me so I can be good. I'm doing it so we can be good. And that's how it has to be. So the same thing with Hashem. I have to look at Hashem the same way. And what I want to do, I want to make you good. I want to make you happy. And by making you happy, I'll be happy. It's a beautiful relationship, really. Okay? Yeah.
All of this ties in with our class on Derek Hashem.
Right, Derek Hashem, correct.
This way of God. And how all this ties in. You're talking about relationships. But that Devekis,
right,
forming that closeness with God, is a model for our other behavior.
100%.
How we connect with people.
Right.
And our prayers to God, you want them to be for the sake of heaven. You learn good patterns of behavior, of how to deal with people, then, how to deal with situations.
Correct.
How to deal with uncertainty, sickness.
Right. Can you imagine if the Congress would do this? Can you imagine if the Congress would work not for the betterment of their party, but for the betterment of our country, because they see it as one total unit, and if they would realize that their party is only part of the system, and their party can't always win. Sometimes we have to look for the greater good. Can you imagine?
I want to be part of something greater.
Right. Can you imagine if Congress would do that? We would be on the cutting edge of everything.
But it's like,
Yeah.
today, your relationship during prayer. Are you praying for a greater good?
Right.
Or are you just on a wish list?
Correct. Yeah.
My reply to can you imagine if Congress would do that? My reply to that is imagination can get you to some pretty wild and strange things.
Okay, very good. Okay, we'll stop.